The massive alien vessel glided silently through the dark expanse of space, its metallic hull reflecting distant starlight. Captain Dong-Yuk Park leaned forward in his command chair, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing an unexpected contact approaching their position. The ship's advanced sensors had detected a strange energy signature that didn't match any known vessel in their database. Most alien encounters were routine, a quick scan, some diplomatic protocols, and then moving on. But this felt different. Yejin Kwan, the ship's tactical officer, adjusted her monitoring equipment. Her fingers danced across holographic controls, pulling up intricate data streams. "Captain," she called out, "the incoming vessel doesn't match any known configuration in our galactic records." Dong-Hyuk raised an eyebrow. Unexpected encounters were rare in this sector of space. The human exploration fleet had mapped most known territories, but something always remained hidden in the vast, cosmic darkness. The unknown vessel began to take shape on their screens. It was smaller than their ship, but there was something unusual about its design. Sharp angular edges that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. No standard propulsion signatures, no typical communication frequencies. "Prepare standard first contact protocols," Dong-Hyuk commanded. His crew moved with practiced efficiency, each member understanding their role perfectly. Years of training had prepared them for moments exactly like this. Hyejin's console blinked with multiple warning signals. "Captain, their technological signatures are unusual. I'm detecting energy patterns that don't conform to our understanding of physics." The alien vessel suddenly pulsed with a strange blue-green light. It wasn't a weapon charge, but something more complex, almost like a communication method beyond traditional radio or electromagnetic waves. Dong-Hyuk watched carefully. First contact. Scenarios were delicate. One wrong move could escalate from peaceful exploration to potential conflict in milliseconds. His training at the Interstellar Diplomatic Academy had prepared him for multiple contingencies. "Open a standard universal communication channel," he instructed the communication specialist. "Use all known frequency bands and translation protocols." Soft humming filled the bridge. The ship's advanced AI began processing potential communication methods, running millions of algorithmic scenarios per second to establish a potential dialogue. Something about this encounter felt different. The alien vessel didn't move like a standard military craft. Its movements were fluid, almost organic. It seemed to dance between electromagnetic wavelengths, shifting and changing in ways that defied conventional understanding. Hyejin's console suddenly erupted with a burst of complex data. "Captain, they're transmitting something, but it's not a standard communication. It's more like a complex mathematical equation wrapped in a linguistic puzzle." Dong-Hyuk leaned closer. This was beyond standard first contact procedures. Whatever was happening, it was clear they were dealing with something fundamentally different from any previous alien encounter. The bridge crew remained silent, each member focused on their specific tasks. Years of training had taught them that in moments of unknown contact, precision and calm were more important than excitement or fear. As the alien vessel continued its strange approach, Dong-Hyuk couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change everything they understood about interstellar communication and exploration. The universe, it seemed, was about to reveal another of its countless mysteries. The bridge of the human vessel grew tense as the strange alien craft continued its approach. Jae-Woong Kim, the mission commander, began the preparation ritual that had been passed down through generations of human space warriors. He reached into a small compartment near his command chair and pulled out an ancient device, a music player that had survived countless technological transformations. The device was old, its edges worn, but it held something more powerful than any weapon, music that could shake the very soul of an opponent. Hyejin watched as Jae-Woong connected the device to the ship's communication systems. The first notes that emerged were not of gentle melodies, but of raw, aggressive sound. Heavy metal music from Earth's early 21st century, a sonic weapon designed to intimidate and inspire. The music was loud. It was brutal. It was a psychological tool that humans had perfected over centuries of conflict. Each chord seemed to vibrate with the anger, passion, and unyielding spirit of human warriors. Around the bridge, crew members began their own preparations. Some applied intricate markings on their skin, not just for decoration, but as a psychological reinforcement of their fighting spirit. These were not just random designs, but symbols that connected them to generations of warriors who had come before. Hyejin started her own ritual. She pulled out a small container of dark pigment and began to apply it to her face and exposed skin. The patterns were complex, combining geometric shapes with organic lines that seemed to move and shift as she applied them. Each crew member moved with purpose. Their movements were synchronized, yet individual. They were preparing not just as a military unit, but as a collective organism with a single purpose. The music continued to pulse through the ship's systems. It wasn't just sound. It was a declaration of intent, a warning to any potential threat that humans were not just another species to be easily conquered. Jae-woong's eyes scanned the bridge. He could feel the energy building. Each crew member was transforming. They were no longer just individuals in a spaceship. They were becoming something more, a united force ready to face any challenge. The alien vessel continued to approach. Its strange energy signatures played across their sensors, creating complex patterns that seemed to dance and shift. But the human crew remained focused, their preparation ritual turning them into something beyond ordinary soldiers. Hyejin finished her markings and checked her weapons. They were not just tools of destruction, but extensions of her own will. Each weapon was carefully maintained, each movement precise and calculated. The music reached a crescendo. It was no longer just sound, but a physical force that seemed to push against the very walls of the ship. The alien vessel would soon understand that humans were not just another species to be studied or conquered. They were warriors. They were survivors. They were something entirely different. Jae-woong took a deep breath. The ritual was almost complete. In moments, they would face whatever mysterious encounter awaited them. But they would face it as humans had always faced, challenges, with courage, creativity, and an unbreakable spirit. The ship hummed with potential energy. The music continued to play. The crew waited, prepared for anything the universe might throw at them. First contact was about to begin. The moment of contact arrived with unexpected suddenness. The alien vessel, which had been moving with strange, fluid motions, suddenly changed its approach. Its energy signatures spiked, creating complex patterns that would have confused most navigation systems, but not the human ship. Jae-woong's fingers moved across the control panel with lightning speed. Years of training condensed into milliseconds of reaction. The human vessel didn't just respond, it anticipated. Where the alien craft shifted, the human ship was already moving, creating a dance of technological superiority that defied standard combat logic. Hyejin's weapon systems came alive. They weren't just mechanical devices, but extensions of human intelligence. Each targeting system was a complex algorithm that combined predictive modeling, real-time adaptation, and an almost intuitive understanding of potential threat trajectories. The first energy burst from the alien vessel should have been devastating. It was a weapon unlike anything in known galactic records, a pulse that could theoretically disable most technological systems within milliseconds. But the human ship's defensive systems absorbed the attack, then immediately transformed that energy into a counterattack. Jae-woong watched with a strange calmness. This wasn't just a battle. It was a demonstration of human technological innovation. Every system on their ship was designed with multiple backup plans, with adaptive intelligence that could learn and respond faster than any traditional combat model. The ship's AI began processing the alien weapon's frequency. Within seconds, it had not just understood the attack, but developed multiple counter-strategies. Where other species would require hours or days of analysis, humans could adapt almost instantaneously. Hyejin's weapons began their own symphony of destruction. They weren't just firing, they were communicating. Each energy pulse carried multiple layers of information, creating a complex communication that was part weapon, part message. It was saying something fundamental. Humans were not to be underestimated. The alien vessel seemed to hesitate. Its movements became more erratic, more defensive. It was experiencing something it had never encountered before, an opponent that didn't just fight, but understood fighting as a complex, multi-dimensional strategy. Jae-woong allowed himself a small smile. Humans had always been innovators. From the first moment they looked up at the stars, they had been about pushing boundaries, understanding challenges, and finding unique solutions. The battle continued, but it was becoming less of a conflict and more of a technological demonstration. The human ship moved with a grace that seemed to defy physics. Its systems worked together like a living organism, each part understanding and supporting the others. Hyejin's targeting systems were now doing something extraordinary. They weren't just tracking the alien vessel, they were predicting its movements, several steps ahead. It was like watching a complex chess match where one player could see every possible future move. The alien vessel's energy signatures began to destabilize. Its advanced technologies were being systematically understood, analyzed, and neutralized by the human ship's adaptive systems. What should have been an overwhelming technological advantage was becoming a lesson in human innovation. Jae-woong knew this was more than just a battle. This was a message to the galaxy. Humans were not just another species to be categorized or ignored. They were adaptable, innovative, and capable of turning any technological challenge into an opportunity. As the conflict reached its climax, the human ship's systems were operating at a level that would be studied by scientific communities for generations. It wasn't just about winning a battle. It was about demonstrating the fundamental human capacity for innovation, adaptation, and unexpected solutions. The alien vessel's final energy pulse was met with a response that was part weapon, part communication, part technological artwork, and then silence. Jae-woong looked at Hyejin. No words were needed. They had just written another chapter in human space exploration history. The aftermath of the battle revealed something far more complex than a simple technological victory. The alien communication systems began capturing transmissions from the human ship that defied all standard psychological warfare protocols. Jae-woong started laughing. It wasn't a nervous laugh. It wasn't a crazy laugh. It was a laugh of pure, unbridled joy in the middle of what should have been a tense combat situation. The alien observation systems recorded something unprecedented, humans treating extreme danger as an almost amusing challenge. Hyejin began singing, not a war song, not a battle hymn, but a popular Earth pop song that seemed completely inappropriate for the moment. Her voice carried through the ship's communication systems, mixed with the residual sounds of their recent combat engagement. The alien monitoring systems went into complete confusion. Their psychological analysis algorithms couldn't process what they were witnessing. Humans were displaying emotional responses that contradicted every known combat behavior in galactic records. Where other species would show fear, humans showed excitement. Where others would demonstrate serious concentration, humans demonstrated a bizarre mix of professional precision and casual humor. Their psychological state remained not just stable, but weirdly elevated. Crew members exchanged jokes over communication channels. They discussed potential combat strategies with the same casual tone one might use when discussing dinner plans. Their heart rates remained steady. Their mental states showed no signs of combat stress. The alien observation team began experiencing what their psychological experts would later describe as cognitive disruption. The humans weren't just fighting, they were enjoying the fight. Jae-woong's communication to the crew sounded more like a friendly conversation than a military command. "Nice work, team. Who wants pizza after we wrap this up?" The statement was so bizarre, so disconnected from the intense technological battle they had just completed, that it became a psychological weapon in itself. Hyejin continued her song, occasionally adding technical combat observations between musical phrases. Targeting, system optimal, nice chorus, enemy energy signatures dropping, great high note. Her multitasking became another layer of psychological complexity that the aliens couldn't comprehend. The human ship's internal systems showed something even more remarkable. Despite the intense combat, Crew members were sharing jokes, making casual bets about combat outcomes, and maintaining a level of psychological stability that defied all known military engagement models. Their communication wasn't just a language. It was a complex psychological tool that seemed designed to transform extreme stress into an almost entertaining experience. The aliens watching couldn't understand if this was a combat strategy or a collective mental state. Moments of potential death were treated with the same casual approach as a morning coffee break. Serious technical discussions were mixed with random humor. Professional precision was wrapped in layers of unexpected emotional responses. The alien observation team began to realize something fundamental. Humans weren't just fighting. They were experiencing fighting as a form of complex psychological performance. Every moment was both a serious technical engagement and a bizarre form of entertainment. Jae Woong's final communication captured this perfectly. Mission accomplished. Who's up for updating the ship's playlist? The statement was so disconnected from traditional military communication that it became a psychological weapon more powerful than any physical technology. The human crew's ability to transform extreme stress into a moment of collective joy became their most powerful weapon. They weren't just fighting an external enemy. They were demonstrating a psychological resilience that went beyond any known species' capabilities. As the battle concluded, the aliens were left with more questions than answers. They had witnessed something beyond a technological engagement. They had experienced a psychological performance that defied all standard understanding of conflict. Humans, it seemed, had turned warfare into an art form, and they were enjoying every moment of it. News of the encounter spread faster than light itself. Alien communication networks buzzed with recordings, analysis, and pure confusion about the human encounter. What had started as a simple first contact had become a galactic legend. Scientific councils across multiple star systems gathered to discuss the strange phenomenon. The recording of Jae Woong's laughing combat response, Yejin's bizarre mix of singing and tactical communication, became the most studied communication in recent galactic history. The transmission was dubbed the 1,000-yard stare incident, a term that captured the human's impossible psychological stability during extreme conflict. Alien species began to realize that humans were not just another technological species. They were something fundamentally different. Research teams tried to understand the human approach, their technological adaptability, their psychological resilience, their ability to transform extreme stress into a form of collective entertainment. These were not just skills. They were a fundamental way of existing. Diplomatic channels became flooded with requests to understand human psychology. Military academies across different planetary systems began studying human communication patterns. What was once seen as a strange encounter became a critical field of study. The alien observation team that first encountered the humans became unexpected celebrities in their own civilization. Their transmission became a warning, a legend, a complex story of an encounter that changed everything they understood about interspecies conflict. Young aliens in military training began to talk about the humans with a mix of fear and respect. They studied the recordings, trying to understand how a species could treat extreme danger with such casual approach. It was more than a technological victory. It was a psychological revolution. Communication experts discovered something even more interesting. The humans' ability to mix serious technical precision with unexpected humor was not a weakness. It was a sophisticated communication strategy that made them unpredictable and powerful. The galactic community realized that humans were not just another species to be categorized or understood. They were a force that challenged every existing understanding of conflict, communication, and psychological adaptation. Diplomatic protocols began to change. Species that had previously considered humans as a potential minor threat now viewed them with a complex mix of respect, fear, and fascination. The humans had written themselves into galactic history with a single encounter. Research teams spent years trying to decode the human approach. What made them so different? How could a species transform extreme stress into a form of collective performance? The questions became more important than the answers. The 1,000-yard Stare incident became more than a transmission. It became a cultural moment that would be discussed for generations. Humans had shown the galaxy something fundamental about survival, innovation, and the power of psychological resilience. Alien. Military academies began incorporating human communication strategies into their training. They realized that technology was important, but the human ability to adapt, to find humor in extreme situations, was the real technological breakthrough. The encounter changed everything. It wasn't just about a battle or a technological demonstration. It was about a fundamental way of existing that no other species had ever demonstrated. Jae-woong and Hye-jin became unintentional ambassadors of human potential. Their casual approach to extreme conflict became a subject of intense study, debate, and fascination across multiple star systems. The galaxy would never be the same. Humans had entered the interstellar stage not just as another species, but as a force that challenged every existing understanding of conflict, communication, and survival, and they were just getting started. The transmission ended, but the legend was just beginning.